say, well, we don't really want that, but we've got to sort this chaos out. So yeah, all right, go do it, do it. Or at least the opposition to it is massively diluted. So this wave of migrants from the Middle East and Africa who are heading into Europe is designed to create chaos, and you see nothing yet if their agenda is allowed to unfold. Because what they want is a tidal wave, never mind a wave, a tidal wave of people heading into Europe, creating economic chaos and, of course, creating conflict between migrants and the home population. And in this way, as usual, you have one set of victims of this hidden hand played off against another set of victims of this hidden hand. So they're fighting and in conflict with each other, and the hidden hand's going, oh, thank you very much, that's good, yeah, oh, that's nice, yeah, oh yeah, more, yeah. That's what we're seeing. And there's another reason, like I say, there are many. There has been a war on the nation state for decades and decades and decades and decades. The European Union is a war on the nation state. So are these other unions that are being brought into place outside of public attention to be their versions of the European Union all around the world. And one of the great sources of resistance to the absorption of the nation state into these super fascist communist groupings with centralized bureaucratic dictatorships. Ooh, did I mention the European Union? One of the great sources of resistance to that is a sense of national identity. Now, let me say from the start, I'm not a nationalist. I had to be born on a piece of land, otherwise I would have drowned. I was actually born on a piece of land called Britain or England, which was called many other names in the past. I love the English countryside. I love much of the English culture, but I don't believe in England's the best and stand up for England and I'm English. No, you're infinite awareness having an experience as an English person or a French person. That's what it is. Get caught in the experience thinking it's you. Anyway, that's another story. So I'm not a nationalist. I'm not a flag waver. If I ever stood up for the national anthem, I think I would genetically implode, given my views of that stuff. So I'm coming from the point of view of simple facts. There is a great resistance to the end of the nation state from people who have a self-identity with the nation state. And to dilute that, the migration, not just into Europe, but also into the United States, is to break down that sense of what the nation means, and therefore dilute that resistance to the end of the nation state. So like I say, there are lots and lots of reasons for this, but there are two of the big ones. And to understand what's happening in the world, as I've said year after year after year, people must stop seeing every event in isolation, because that's not how it is. If you got, where they set up all those dominoes on the floor, if you knock the first domino, it hits the second domino, third domino, fourth domino, goes all around the room until it knocks over the last domino. Now, if you stand there in myopia, just focusing on one domino, wherever it is in the line, you'll see a domino fall over. Maybe just hitting another one. But you won't see all the dominoes that have hit each other to make that one fall. And so to understand the migrant crisis, we have to connect some dots, because this is part of a long process of creating chaos to justify dramatic global change. So let's go back to, you go back much, much further, as I do in the books. My goodness me, you can go way back. But let's pick it up in the year 2000, when a group called the Project for the New American Century, made up of Bush-backing Republicans, but don't get confused by parties, they're just names for the same face. And they produced a document which called for a list of countries to be regime changed in multiple theatre wars by the American military. These countries were Libya, Syria, Iraq, on and on, all the ones that have been involved since. This group of people, which included people like Rumsfeld and Cheney and Wolfowitz, stalwarts of the Bush administration, they came to power a few months after that document was published. And the document also said that to achieve this end of all these regime changes with war and what have you, they would need what they called a new Pearl Harbor, an attack on American soil to justify what they wanted. In the same year that they came to power in the Bush administration, we had 9/11, the official story of which is a fairy tale and remains unproperly investigated by the mainstream media, because the mainstream media in effect tell you what the system wants you to hear and call it journalism. So as a result of 9/11, they had their excuse to go into Afghanistan, into Iraq, and start this so-called war on terror. And the Al-Qaeda at that time, terrorists that they were saying justified this, bin Laden and etc., were actually the creation of the American government and the American military. So, as a result of that, you had these countries targeted one after the other. And of course, there's the television interview with General Wesley Clark, who said that immediately after 9/11, he was told by one of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the Pentagon that they were going to invade Iraq. Why? There seemed no point. Well, any connection to 9/11? Well, no, but we're going to invade them. This is immediately after 9/11. And then a few weeks later, he said he came back, talked to the same general, and was told, actually, there's a list of countries that we're now going to invade. And they were straight off the pages of the document of the Project for the New American Century: Libya, Iraq, and so on. Syria. And so they, for different excuses, different made-up reasons, targeted Iraq and Syria and Libya, with knock-on effects to places like Lebanon, which was also on the list. And of course, let's just think about it just for a second. If you are going to directly bomb or indirectly bomb through your funded, trained and armed rebels, country after country in the Middle East, under the ludicrous smokescreen of a Arab Spring, yeah, tell the people in that area of the world there's been a people's revolution. But if you're going to do that, what's going to happen?